started. Amen. All right, thank you guys. Those were some wonderful talks that I received from the coaches there earlier. I do agree that Luke stole a little bit of what I was gonna say, but also that's not stealing because I probably should expect the coach to brag about his team. So maybe that's my mistake, but. I think that I have a bit of a unique perspective whenever it comes to this team because when looking back and reflecting, whenever you look at it, I think I've had quite possibly the most and least eventful cross-country career of most runners who come from BHS. And while every single runner here will have their own journey and career that's completely unique to them, as the only senior on this team, I think that there's some perspective that I bring that's maybe not necessary, but I think it's unique, and I think it's something that maybe not everybody else has witnessed. And to start, so I'm the only athlete remaining. It's kind of crazy. I'm the last athlete to have had a season under Coach Griff, which it's definitely the season, maybe not the season I remember the least, but it was kind of a whirlwind with COVID stuff that was going on. And that year there was a bunch of seniors, an abundance of seniors and juniors on both the boys and girls teams. But only a few freshmen, and as you can see, I'm the only one from that group that made it through cross country. No disrespect. All the people that started, they're wonderful people. Cross country just was not their thing. So that year I came in as the team's number 4 runner throughout every single race that I ran. At least I can remember. This is the season that Bailey was injured, so it would have been 5 if he was there. And Coach Griff did his best at trying to convince us that we had a very real shot at qualifying for states. And we gave it our best effort, but even with Wheeling's number one runner passed out, and I beat him, and they still beat us by 30 points. So we didn't really actually have a shot. This is jumping ahead, but I want to point out that if my freshman self from there, obviously it's a little bit different, but if you had put me on this team, I would have been fighting for a varsity spot. So it definitely shows you how things have changed quickly, especially on a team. That's a team that's full of talent. That team has had future college runners on it. It had some people that were on that all-time top 25 list. And sorry, I would have beat you, Brady. I would have beat you. Diego might have put up a fight for me. Sophomore year was probably I'd say it's my second most memorable year. This is the first year with Luch as head coach, but it wasn't too much of a change from the team with Griff. I mean, it was a change. The biggest difference was the lack of a whiteboard with the quote of the day on it that was posted in the pavilion each day. And it had 3 different workouts, which was lovely because if you didn't remember what the coach said, you could just look and see. I think we might need a whiteboard, Luch. I think that's this is the year where I feel like I know they talked a lot about the hard-working team culture that we saw. I think this is the year where that kind of started. The only problem with that was that, so I'm speaking mostly to the boys team because that's the team I was on. And the team that I had the most experience with. So there was 11 boys on the team that year, and 8 of them were seniors. And honestly, that team probably put in more miles than any other team that I've been on, and that probably come out of Bridgeport. As we know, with Bailey was putting in huge miles, Jody Goddard, Sam Backus, Trey Miller, all putting in over 50 miles a week, which is stuff that a lot of us aren't even doing. And obviously, we're a fairly high mileage group. And so after that, the big issue was that only 3 runners would be returning. It was me, Quentin, and Ethan, which at that time, I'll be totally honest, we didn't really have the most optimism for the future of the team at that point. I had, obviously me and Coach Luch had talked about all this, and obviously we had hope, but we didn't exactly see where our talent was going to come from, because you can't win much with 3 runners. It's not exactly the best situation. At that point, it seemed like we had a lot of things not go our way. We had runners switch schools. We had a runner move to Colorado to ski. We moved to AAA, and we got put in the hardest region of the state. And we were staring down the junior season with 3 runners returning. And that's skipping over the fact that I broke my foot that year. luckily, by the time my junior season rolled around, we were joined by a crew of freshmen, and also Ian decided to come back, and Andrew decided to join us, which was lovely, because that gave us way more than a full team. I look back at my junior season as mostly just a precursor for what happened this season. The running culture that I said that was established the previous year was still there, but it still hadn't taken its full shape. Most of my personal memories for this season involve quality time in Bridgeport physical therapy or inside of an MRI machine. So I can't say it was my favorite year of running. Another great memory. This is actually like something I want to point out. If you guys remember regionals that year, Troy lost his shoe mid-race and ran a PR and almost received. And I won't lie, if I had lost my shoe during a race, I wouldn't have shut it down, but I would have just like saw in my head, okay, like I just thought, okay, I'm not going to States, like that's done. So the fact that like you kept pushing with, and especially that course had like significant amounts of concrete, like there was a lot of road and gravel, so that must have been pretty painful. Like, you haven't talked about it. Was it painful? Okay, so now this year was easily the best year for my time running, and it's easy for the people that have witnessed that to say, oh, that's easy for me to say, because I was actually able to run a full season. It wasn't like either in the midst of a pandemic or significant injury. But there was so much more that went into it than just that. The culture that I mentioned this year is where it finally really blossomed into something that should hopefully last for years to come. We went over much of this during practice, and obviously Lou Justin and Coach Gruber all went over this just a couple minutes ago. But the improvements we saw this year were pretty monumental. From year to year time-wise, Victoria, Sarah, Abigail, Michaela, Andrew, Colton, Ethan, Quentin, William, and Troy all made huge improvements, and that's not counting all the improvements that happened year to year. If I didn't say your name, I'm sorry. Like I didn't. Those are just people that made huge improvements from last year to this year, not counting the people that started. Abigail, you did improve. Yeah, you did. I swear, Athletic.net says you improved. I looked at Athletic.net last time. I said you improved. And obviously, we went over specifics, but. Michaela got over 2.5 minutes faster. Ethan got nearly 3 minutes faster. And William had one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen in running. He dropped nearly 3.5 minutes off his PR from 2014 to 16:53, which put him at number 11 on our all-time list, which is in front of Trey Martin. And obviously, a lot of you probably don't know who that is, but I'm sure like the DMOSs know Trey Martin. And he is a heck of a runner. They used to call him a Trey hard because of how fast he'd run in workouts and his practices. They just like make fun of him a little bit. So you were faster than the guy that we literally made fun of because he ran too fast. I feel like that's pretty cool. Like we try to talk to him, just like less me because I was never on a team with him. I just ran with him in the summer. But like some days he just take off a 6-minute pace and you just never see him. But the biggest improvements, though, I think, are not just restricted to numbers and time specifically. Luckily, like Luch talked about a lot of the preseason stuff that we talked about the preseason goals. Luckily, he didn't mention what I was going to mention here. Luch always talked about the difference between people who run and runners. And I won't spoil that entire message because I don't want to bite for Luch's flow. I don't want to steal his thunder, but because I'm sure we'll talk about that next year. But this year's team was made up of runners, not just people who did. And I saw people who committed themselves to getting up every day during the summer and putting in more miles than they'd ever had before, more miles than I was certain weeks during workouts. We even got to the point where we might have to take away some of the boys' spikes because they run too fast. And that's specific. You know who you are. Raise your hand if I'm talking to you. Ethan. Ethan and William, we might have to take away their spikes because they run too fast. And also, fun was had while we were running. I saw a lot of people having fun with it, which wasn't always the easiest thing to do. A lot of people, I think, maybe not find practice miserable. I guess I don't think negative, but a lot of people only enjoy certain parts of running. They only enjoy the workouts or the long runs. But I saw people that genuinely, even if it wasn't their favorite day, even if it was something hard, they really wanted to go and improve themselves, go and better themselves each day, which is something great. Now that I've gone through all that, I need to take out some grievances. I didn't go into it much earlier. Okay, so I know that this, one of the team also, you guys Liberty High School graduates, one of you? I didn't go into it earlier, but I'm not the fondest of Liberty High School. Not Liberty, not the students of Liberty High School, just the entity. Also, like RIP Liberty High School. I didn't mention it earlier, but the county championship meet was there my sophomore year, and during that race, I noticed my foot hurting a bit. And so after it was over, I realized it was still hurting, and I told Luch, who, he was a little bit concerned, but not overly concerned. He just told me, walking out, run my cool down. 10 minutes later, I'd taken the sock and shoe off, and I had a bag of ice on it. Luch came back, walking around. He was a little bit more concerned. I ended up running the Big Ten championship a week or two later, and then after that, we found out it was a broken foot. That year, we had an outside shot looking at states, but our team was about 5 guys deep, so that kind of killed any chance that we had of going to states, which was unfortunate because that was a real hard-working team, and that kind of set me from. I had goals of being an all Big Ten first team runner, hopefully being up with Bailey in that race, and that sent me back to kind of nothing, which was unfortunate, but it was okay. I mentioned this to segue into my first incident at Liberty High School. It is likely that many of you were around for this one. But my 8th grade season, middle school cross country, I was disqualified from our county championship for reasons that I am still unaware of. I didn't win the race that I hoped, but it was still disappointing. Finishing directly behind me in 2nd place or 3rd place, depending how you want to look at it, was Spencer from South Harrison. I'm sure some of you know who that is. Many of you know him, and he has run all through high school, and I've known him for a while, since elementary school or so. And after the race, he gave me this, which was his 2nd place medal for the county championship race. And there was actually a story about it posted in Connect Bridgeport. He was invited to our cross-country banquet that year, right? Great. Which was, I imagine, was an interesting experience for him. And this year, as you all know, I was disqualified again. For somewhat frivolous reasons, but at least this time I actually knew what I did. So that was a step up. And I do want to point out that it seems like all disqualifications in high school running, at least in distance, for things that don't actually affect the race. Like this is not related, but during track last year, there's a kid that got disqualified. He took his shirt partially off at the end of the race. Imagine I just remember watching the World Track Championship last year. Noah Lyles sets the American record, absolutely tears his jersey to shreds. Imagine if they were like, yeah, no record, buddy. Took his shirt off. Sorry. So I don't know. That's just random thoughts I have about high school running goals, whatever. I was fairly disappointed in finishing the race because I didn't run to what my peak potential was, and then I looked down and I realized I was missing something. It was this. I wasn't really concerned about being disqualified at first, but it was pretty unfortunate. It was a pretty unfortunate situation. I believe that I may have been the last person to leave that meeting. Because it took a while. I cooled down. I ran around the school for a while. And I think the RCB coach tried to talk to me because obviously she didn't control that situation. She felt bad. And so whenever I got to my car that day, I saw this right here tied to the door handle. And while I was a bit confused at first. I didn't know where it came from, and it didn't get a story on Connect Bridgeport. But after a little bit of thinking, I knew exactly where it came from. This is Troy's medal, and I wanted to showcase that because I think it shows his character and kindness, and shows the gratitude he showed for me, and I appreciate that. I've never been a medal guy. I've never been one to really think about medals. I know Bailey. Whenever I talked to him, my freshman year, he was still upset that he didn't get his medals from regional track the year of COVID. So it was a little bit different perspective. I thought that was a funny anecdote. But I just thought being someone that's not really a medal guy. These two medals definitely mean more to me than any of the other things that I've earned throughout cross country. And so I told Troy, you can still have this if you want, considering you're like the Big Ten runner of the year. So, like, if you really want it one day, like, if something happens, but I have a feeling you might be earning another one next year. So. The biggest accolade for me with running isn't the medals, but it's being able to say that my Garmin watch says I have a VO2 max of 67. So that's pretty good. And so, looking back on all of this, what have I learned? I don't want to repeat myself too much, but before the regional meet, I talked with the team for a bit about how nothing is guaranteed. After my season ended at the regional meet as a freshman, I got 25th. I ran my slowest time that year there. I fully expected to have 3 more shots for me and the team to get back to states, and 3 shots to go after conference accolades, since the conference meet that year we were not able to go to, or it was either canceled or we weren't able to go to because of COVID numbers. And looking back, I never got to run. Well, I ran one conference meet. There was the one I mentioned on the broken foot, and I never ran another regional meet until this past year. Whether both were from injuries, but there are a lot of unforeseen circumstances. And I guess the big thing that taught me is you have to take advantage of the opportunities whenever you're given that. Don't leave anything to chance, because obviously you don't want to look back and have any regrets over this. I think the Prefontaine quote, we talked about that, I think that sums it up pretty well. Give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And this year I didn't want to sacrifice the gift, because I thought that I had been, like I said, after that freshman year, I thought that I was given to have 3 more shots of running at a state meet, and I thought I was given to have 3 more shots of running at a conference meet. But in reality, none of that happened. So other things that cross-country taught me. It taught me the ability to persevere and rely on myself. It would have been easy, I feel like, to have, like, looking back, to have given up whenever, no, not given up, but have not put in as much effort whenever I was injured. And I will admit, I probably could have recovered better. I probably could have trained harder while I was hurt. But I kind of didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel there sometimes, and it became difficult. As the guys who trained in the winter last year know, I was banished to the track for a while, which, I mean, I love track, but whenever all you can run is at the track, it kind of gets a little bit boring. It kind of makes you go crazy a little bit. And I'd have to verify like this with Luce, but I feel like I've gone through some of the most change throughout my running career as compared to like a lot of runners. Whether that be the coaching change, injuries, and COVID uncertainties, things like that. And I think that's just been one of those things, be able to persevere through change. And I think that's something that everybody's here has done. It's also taught me to be more responsible. So at Big Ten track last year, I didn't know where my spikes were, so I took Troy spikes and I never wore them. That's my bad. Because my feet were bigger than Troy's at that point. I felt like I was gonna like bust them open. So I apologize if I busted the spikes. I also besides the spikes, like I was just like last year at the track, I was kind of a mess. I was forgetting a lot of equipment. Like I would leave my clothes at the track, and like Coach Grant would have to just take me into the back room and like give it to me. So like that's just like a random thing, but and Lou's just shaking his head. He knows that I'm a forgetful guy. But that's everyone's So I feel like to finish, I need to say some thank yous to everyone here. I would address all the runners one by one, but I don't want to. I've already talked to a lot, so I don't think I should do that. And so I'd say thank you. What are you laughing at? Thank you for everyone that I've trained with, and I've been truly lucky to have been surrounded with people who make each other better in practice and make me want to run. Like I genuinely enjoy pushing myself with, and have helped me to reach the goals that I've been trying to reach. I've been lucky to be able to be surrounded with people who make, like I said, who also make each other better in practice, and I think we saw that with the team this year. That the improvements that we made were like monumental, and I think that obviously all of it was because of your individual efforts, but it was also because of the efforts that happened as a cumulative team that was able to happen. And to all the friends that I've made, thank you for making each day of practice great. I can't deny that
I was a bit scared after sophomore year, like I said, because I was good friends with all 8 of those seniors, and while I was friends with you guys, I guess it would have been hard to have a cross country team with 3 members on it. But everyone else here, as you can see, that this team has a lot more than 3 people on it, and everyone else here is more than made up for the losses that were felt that year. Thank you to Coach Griff, or I guess Luch, Griff, Austin, Gerber, Gina, and Jimmy LeCare. Each coach brought something unique to my running experience, whether it was creating workouts and setting the plan for the day, giving speeches, being a training partner, encouraging us through the day, keeping us organized. There's so many people that went into that looking back, and I think each coach kind of contributed their own unique thing, which I think is important, just because, I mean, who else can say that they've had that many people that have officially been their cross-country coach? I think I named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that have, 6 or 7 people that have been official coaches throughout time, which I think is really cool. I just say thank you to all the parents who helped with everything throughout the 4 years of running that I've done, whether it be with the spaghetti dinners, making lunches, and just encouraging us. I think that that's something, like Austin said, that makes this team pretty special, all of the love and support that we get from everybody. And also I'd like to say thank you to my own parents for keeping me straight. I do a lot of stuff and I'm busy sometimes, so a lot of times I have to rely on them to, just make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, making sure that I'm organized, and a lot of times I do the work, but they help me manage, and it's just a lot of help. I'd also like to say thank you to just running itself, because no matter how my day went at school, no matter what what was in my head at the time, each day after school I knew that that running would be an outlet and something for me to do. It would just give me the opportunity to blow off some steam, whether it be just jogging, putting down 14 miles, or running 1,000 meter repeats on the track with 60-second rest. That's pretty hard. That didn't really help me blow off steam. That didn't yeah, no matter what it was, that was always a constant thing in my life, and it was just one of those things. I think it's great to have structure, and I think that's one of the best things that not just sports, but especially cross country provides, like just running itself. It's always a chance that you can go and improve yourself every single day, and I'm really grateful to have had that experience and the ability to have that constant thing in my life. I was going to end this with what Luch said during the year. So if you guys don't know Luch, this year, towards the end of the season, we had a little analogy. So the county meet was our appetizer, Big Ten and regionals was the main course, and then the states was dessert. And so before our Big Ten race, Luch told us, "Let's eat." And so I didn't know if I was going to be speaking before or after the meeting, so I guess I can't say "let's eat" because that's so I'm going to share a Griff quote that's completely irrelevant. And this was one of Bailey's favorite quotes. So if you guys don't know, Griff would always give speeches and talk to the team before the race and say kind of like, I don't want to say crazy things, but he'd always have something, like some crazy analogy that was very interesting. And the number one appreciator of this was definitely Bailey. And he can tell me like every single one of these things that Griff has said. And my favorite one was, obviously I wasn't there for it, but Bailey always said this one. Before the state meet his sophomore year. And this is the race where Bailey came from. I don't want to say nowhere, because he was having a great season, but he got seventh place, first team All-State as a sophomore, which is pretty cool. He said, there's blood in the water, and you guys are sharks, and I want you guys to be sharks next year. So thank you all, and thank you for making the season.